If you find a cabin in the woods in northwest Oregon, don't listen to the screams. By Reddit user C-Dub Watson. Hello, my name is David. I write this as I'm on I-5 South, getting as far away from what I'm about to share with you as possible. Let me take you to where it started to give you a better understanding of this horrific event. Friday morning, 5:30 a.m. I lay awake in bed as my dad comes in to wake me. Get up, we're getting an early start. Mom's downstairs making eggs and bacon. I groan and shoot back with a, "Geez, I'm up," regretting not setting an alarm for earlier in the morning to give myself a chance to catch my bearings. I snap out of my tired daze and sit on the edge of my bed. Throw on a flannel, pull on my Carhartts, and lace up my Danners before heading downstairs to meet my family for breakfast. It seems like a tradition now to come downstairs and sigh at the fact that I am an only child as of 2 years ago. Today is the anniversary of my older brother's death due to a tragic car accident with a drunk driver. I say hello to my mother and give her a hug, as we both know what dread we feel on this day. Dad quickly intervenes. "Hey champ, you all packed? Remember, it's quite the drive we've got ahead of us." "Yeah, Dad, I'm all ready. What time are we getting out of here?" I replied. "I'm ready when you are," he says. I give my mom one last hug for the weekend before we leave. Dad and I throw our bags into the back of the Dodge and hit the road. "You ready for this?" he asks. "Ready as I'll ever be," I replied. 2 hours into the trip, we stop at a rest stop to use the bathroom. An old man in tattered clothes smirks at me. "Headed up the mountains, are you?" he asked. "Yeah, just me and my dad this weekend," I shortly replied. "Be careful up there. There's evil in these woods, boy," he said before bellowing out a sinister chuckle. I hurry up to wash up and get out of the bathroom, being unsettled now. I figured he was just a crazy old man. I've never been so wrong in my life. I meet Dad in the truck, and he can immediately tell I was thrown off. "Got something on your mind, bud?" I told him it was nothing, and tried to brush off my previous interaction with the old man. A few more hours go by, and Dad takes a right turn and parks the truck. "We made it, buddy," he exclaimed. "What a beautiful drive," I replied. "Well, we really should get started setting up. It's going to get dark here soon," he says. We set up the tent and stove before starting the fire. As we sit around the fire, Dad hands me a beer. "You're 16 now. I know what kids get into, especially these days, so all I ask is that when you drink, it's with me," he says. "You can read my mind, can you, old man?" I replied with a laugh. Our conversation ends abruptly as we both see something in the corner of our eyes, but as soon as it was there, it was gone. We brushed it off and finished up the night and put out the fire before hitting the sack. Saturday, 6 a.m. We both wake up at the sound of sticks breaking around the tent. Startled, we both grab our handguns in case of a cougar. But again, as soon as we heard it, it was over. Both on edge, we climb out of the tent to start a fire and brew some morning coffee. We both have a warm cup before strapping up for a hike. We set off on an unmarked trail, our first mistake if you don't count leaving after both unsettling events prior. We mark trees along the way so we don't get lost. All of a sudden, we hear a faint screaming sound northeast of where we were headed on the trail. Both a little frightened, we unholstered our handguns and moved towards the screams. We stumbled upon a shack in a small clearing. As soon as we saw a glimpse of it, the screams stopped on a dime. Both not realizing it, we rushed towards the shack and busted in. Immediately after the door flew open, we both couldn't hold our stomachs from the smell. We both threw up our coffee and trail mix from this morning. We both look at each other with disturbed looks on our faces as we progress deeper into the shack. Inside the shack is an all too familiar face. Staring back at me with an unnaturally wide grin is the old man. This time with deep dark pits for eyes and a set of long, sharp and bloody teeth. He repeated his previous statement. "There's evil in these woods." The smell was immediately identifiable as he was standing next to a pile of rotting corpses. I hear a quick "run" from my dad as we both turn around and bolt for the door. As we run, we realize we've lost our trail markers. Dad tells me he knows which direction leads to the truck. As we sprint through the woods in desperate hope to find camp, there are unnaturally tall, slender creatures staring from the trees. They're jet black and almost look like shadows. They have no expression, no features, but we can feel their gaze pierce us as we dash through the woods. We can hear the old man's voice taunting us as we run, getting closer and closer, though it's more gravelly and sounds almost as if there's hundreds of the same voice talking at the same time. As we move further towards the truck, Dad falls over. He reaches for his lungs as if they were collapsing. He hands me his keys and tells me to keep going. As soon as this happens, the creature lunges for my dad and rips his foot clean off. As the thing does so, my dad immediately draws his gun and desperately empties his magazine on the creature. Yelling at me to run, I finally give in and book it in the direction he was taking us. Not too long after, I see the smoke from the embers of the fire we started this morning. With a silent yell of relief, I book it towards the truck. What I see at camp will stick with me forever. In the fire was my dad's mangled corpse, which was the smoke that I saw from the tree line. Absolutely mortified, I started bawling, but quickly snapped out of my state when the creature's voice erupted from the trees. I fumbled with the keys before jumping in the truck and pulling out. Cruising down the mountain faster than I've ever driven before, I can still see the shadowy figures in the trees. After a long and fast-paced drive home, I feel like I've made it in record time. I hurry and get my mom out of the house and fill her in. We can't stop crying about Dad. I don't know what to do for now, but my mom is taking us far away from California. Far, far away from whatever that thing was. I can still hear him yelling from the distance. I'm scared. As of now, the thing is still out there, hunting. If you find a cabin in the woods in northwest Oregon, don't listen to the screams.